You're tuned in for another deep dive, and today, wow, we're looking at Brazil. It seems President Lula made a bit of an offhand comment that's really stirred things up.
It definitely has. We've got a couple of sources here, pretty, let's say, pointed video analysis of what Lula said recently.
Right, and also a detailed news report. This one lays out some really serious allegations against an organization he's, well, publicly linked himself with.
Exactly. So let's dive in. This little, maybe you call it a slip-up from Lula, might actually open up a much bigger picture.
Okay, so what exactly did he say? What was the comment?
Well, the starting point really is Lula mentioning, quite casually it seemed, that he has annual meetings with people from Contag.
Contag, that's the National Confederation of Rural Workers and Family Farmers.
Yes, that's the one. And he mentioned meeting them along with the MST and university rectors, just sort of, routine engagement.
Okay, sounds normal enough on the surface.
The timing is, let's say, awkward. Because Contag is right in the middle of this huge scandal, the Fraud INSS, they're calling it.
Ah, okay, so his casual mention bumps right up against these serious accusations.
Precisely. It's that clash, the routine meeting versus these really heavy allegations that's so interesting here.
Yeah, the video analysis we watched really jumped on that. The commentator was pretty sarcastic, joking that maybe Lula uses these meetings to, check the cash box, as they put it.
Yeah, a dark joke. But it immediately points to the controversy, doesn't it?
It does.
Duh.
So for anyone not up to speed, what's the deal with Contag? What are these allegations?
Basically, this Fraud INSS scandal is about unauthorized deductions. Specifically, they're called associative discounts, taken from the pensions of rural retirees.
Taken without permission.
That's the allegation. And the scale is, well, it's huge. Between 2019 and 2024, Contag allegedly collected something like $2 billion this way.
2 billion ricks. That's staggering.
From retiree pensions.
Yes, supposedly for membership fees, but the claim is it was done without clear consent, systemically, across a lot of people. Wow. And how could that even happen on such a scale? You'd think the Social Security system would catch it.
Well, this is where, like you said, it gets really interesting. The news report highlights something particularly suspicious back in November 2023.
What was that?
The INSS itself, that's Brazil's Social Security Institute, apparently authorized the unblocking of over 34,000 of these discounts all at once.
34,000 without checking each one.
Exactly. No individual review. The INSS's own auditors flagged it, saying it completely bypassed the rules, needing specific authorization from each person.
That sounds deeply irregular. 34,000 is just a massive number to wave through like that.
It really is. And then you follow the money. Brazil's Financial Intelligence Unit, COAF, they looked into it.
Okay, what did COAF find?
They tracked $26.4 million going from Contag to 15 different individuals and companies.
And who are these recipients? Anything unusual?
That's the thing. The report mentions companies involved in tourism, catering, and renting event structures.
Wait, tourism, catering, event rentals. What does that have to do with representing rural workers?
Good question, right? It does make you wonder what legitimate business Contag would have with those kinds of companies, especially using funds allegedly deducted from pensions.
It smells a bit fishy, doesn't it? Like maybe trying to hide where the money was going?
Well, the video commentator certainly thought so. They flat out suggested it could be money laundering.
And it doesn't stop there, does it? What about the property purchases?
Right. The news report also mentions investigations finding that Contag directors and associates bought quite a bit of real estate.
Any specifics?
Yes. It names Alberto Brock, apparently a Contag director, buying a $1.6 million apartment in Brasilia just last year, 2023. And it says other secretaries in the organization also bought properties.
So unauthorized deductions, huge sums of money, transfers to weird companies, directors buying expensive apartments. It paints quite a picture.
It certainly paints a concerning picture, yes. All this together, the deductions, the transfers, the real estate, it definitely fuels suspicion about illicit enrichment, misuse of funds. It really highlights the need for, strong oversight.
Absolutely. Now, what does Contag say about all this? They can't be happy.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
They've denied any wrongdoing, flat out. They insist everything they do is ethical, transparent.
And the deductions.
They claim those were all properly authorized by their members. Standard practice, basically.
Okay. And they also brought Lula into it, didn't they?
They did. They kind of leveraged their relationship with him, describing themselves as idoneous, trustworthy, reputable.
How do they phrase that?
There's almost like, hey, go ask Lula. He knows us. He comes to our meetings every year. How can we be involved in anything shady if we're close to the president?
Using the connection as a shield. Classic move.
It is. They also said they told the INSS about problems unblocking benefits and asked for help against, quote, abusive practices. But, the sheer scale of the alleged issues reported by INSS auditors and COAF makes that defense, well, challenging.
Yeah, mentioning Lula might just draw more attention, not less.
Could be. It definitely invites more scrutiny.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Because Lula wasn't just talking about Contag, he's also been pushing for internet regulation.
Yes, that's another theme that's come up. His stated reason is about protection.
Protection? For who?
Specifically, protecting children and women from online harassment. He gave this quite upsetting example of a girl being, in his words, tortured by friends online.
Okay, that's obviously a serious concern. But whenever politicians start talking internet regulation, while my antenna go up, I start thinking censorship.
And that's the core of the debate, isn't it? Balancing safety against freedom of expression. Lula's concern is understandable. It's a real problem. But how you address it, that's where people disagree.
Totally. The video commentator we watched, they saw it as a straight-up censorship move. No hesitation.
Did they offer any alternative?
Well, sarcastically, yes. They mentioned Lula's recent trip to China, a country with very different ideas about the internet.
Drawing a comparison there.
Yep. And the commentator joked, why not just tell people not to use social media? Problem solved. Even quipped, maybe. He picked up that policy idea in China.
Right. Well, just opting out isn't really a systemic solution to the harassment and harmful content issues Lula brought up.
True. What else did Lula say about it?
He talked about the constant stream of offers and provocations online. He said there needs to be a discussion with Congress about the responsibilities of these big app companies operating in Brazil.
So holding the platforms accountable.
Seems to be the idea. He actually said something like, everything has control except the app companies, highlighting that perceived lack of accountability.
Interesting. Okay, so from Contag meetings and internet control to international relations, Lula apparently has a plan there too.
He does. And it's unconventional, let's say. It's about speeding up communication between world leaders.
How so? Cutting through red tape?
Kind of. Forget the formal diplomatic channels, which he says can take 15, even 30 days just to set up a phone call.
Yeah, that can be slow. So what's his solution?
His plan is basically to swap personal phone numbers, or maybe his advisors or his wife Janja's numbers, since he apparently doesn't carry a phone himself with other presidents.
Just swap numbers, like kids in school.
Pretty much. His argument is sometimes you just need a quick 30-second chat to sort something out. Why wait weeks?
Okay, I can see the appeal of speed. But personal numbers, no official lines.
That's the point. Bypassing the official channels entirely, which, as you can imagine, raises some questions.
You bet it does. The video commentator was all over this. First, why doesn't the president of Brazil have his own secure phone? Good question.
Indeed. Security, protocols.
And second, doesn't this just scream under-the-table deals, completely off the record, no transparency?
That's the concern, yeah. While faster communication could be good sometimes, doing it completely outside official channels means no records, no oversight. It could lead to misunderstandings or worse.
The commentator joked about, like, a late-night call. Hey, Emmanuel, need a quick 30 grand. Can you sort it? Click. Done. No memos. No scrutiny.
It's a very cynical take, but it highlights the potential risks, right? Lack of accountability, the perception of backroom deals, maybe even preferential treatment for leaders he swaps numbers with. Established protocols exist for a reason.
Definitely. Okay, so let's try and pull these threads together. What's the big picture from this deep dive?
Well, we started with Lula's comment about Contag, which opened up these really serious allegations of financial irregularity, potential corruption, tied to an organization close to him.
Right. Then there's the push for internet regulation, framed as protection, but sparking fears of censorship.
And finally, this move towards very direct, very informal, maybe too informal, communication and international diplomacy, bypassing transparency safeguards.
It's quite a mix: alleged corruption, potential censorship, and secretive diplomacy.
Looking at them together through our sources, it reveals a really complex situation. The Contag scandal raises huge questions about accountability. The internet debate shows that tension between safety and freedom. And the diplomacy idea, well, it pits efficiency against transparency and proper process.
So it leaves you thinking, doesn't it? With all this on the table, the money issues, the internet plans, the phone number swapping, what are the potential long-term consequences for Brazil and its people?
That's the key question. What does this all mean for transparency, for accountability, for how things actually get done at the highest levels.
Definitely gives you a lot to mull over. And as always, we encourage you, the listener, to look deeper into these things yourself. Until our next deep dive.